What up, y'all? We are here for our midweek alchemy message, where we are taking a look at the process of doing the inner work, and we're just unpacking how we've been approaching everything this week. So from the Wild Unknown Alchemy deck, we have got Dissolution, followed by Raven's Head, followed by Chiron. Underneath Dissolution, we've got Queen of Cups, underneath Raven's Head, we've got Strength, and underneath Chiron, we've got Queen of Pentacles. I will say it is strange that, or not really, I was like, oh, the cards are so crazy, but like that's how they work, so I guess it's not that crazy. But for Monday, if you guys will recall, our first card was Ocean. Dissolution. If ocean is the archetypal concept of the phase or the lesson or the assignment, then dissolution in regards to the actual work that is being done is the actual salt water, right, that dissolves. You see, remember when we were talking about the shallowness creating more dangerous waters, like the analogy of the North Sea being one of the most dangerous bodies of water on earth because of the shallow depth of that ocean. And because of that, there's like more tumultuous weather systems and more dangerous waves and rogue waves and all kinds of threats that aren't present in bodies of water that have more depth. So as we were talking about that, it's like still waters run deep. Like the more we delve into our unconscious and the unknown and the parts of ourself that seem dark and looming and uncertain and scary, we actually gain more security and stability because we know how to traverse those deeper feelings, those emotions, and they don't bottle up and consume us or cause us to like react impulsively and destructively through life. So now we find ourselves in the middle of the week, in the midst of the work. If you might recall on our weekly energy oracle forecast, the theme of ego is coming up this week. And so I feel that we are being sort of probed and challenged with these catalysts to see the parts of our egos that have been stubborn and clingy, like getting out those stubborn stains, those stubborn grease stains, right, that have been clinging to the fabric of our lives. To touch the feel, the cotton. I don't know if you guys remember those ads. Anyway, never mind. So we are like cleansing these things, and these, if we are willing and open to face those parts of our ego when the triggers come up, like look at these feelings and really pay attention to what they're teaching us, what they're trying to tell us, what they're trying to show us, what they're trying to mirror back to us, right? If we're willing, even in just the slightest, to let go of our own personal agenda, our own ego agenda, the ego that is self-centered and selfish and, consumed with our own ideas and our own desires, and rather surrender those for curiosity about what may the Creator have for us that is elevated beyond what we're trying to cling to, right? So we open ourselves up and we let go of our perception of what is the right way or what should be happening and all of those things. And we let go of that agenda. We let go of those perceptions, and we try to let go of our fear and our lack and our doubt, and it's scary. And so as we let these things go and we shed and we dissolve these layers of negativity and these layers of fear that have shrouded our inner light, our inner radiance, our inner compassion and understanding, And while we're elevating our soul, it like expands and magnifies those inner qualities of like the strengthening our connection to our intuition, right? Because the Queen of Cups is like super intuitive, right? That's why she's underwater. She's in the depths here. And she is, here with I think it's interesting that she's here with the seahorse, which the seahorse is a feminine masculine creature. It is the father, the seahorse is, it's the males that actually carry the babies and nurse them, ironically enough, right? So it's almost like the feminine queen is so feminine. She's got a double dose of the feminine that she almost needs to embody this feminine masculine quality that balances out her sometimes overly nurturing nature, where she becomes self-depleted, right? And so in balancing that she can be firm in her boundaries, she can also then correct the masculine behavior, the toxic masculine overcorrection of that behavior to overshare and overdo for everyone else, right? Lacking those boundaries. So we can't be in constant state of masculine energy of sharing and giving, and then also expect to be able to be still and receive and quiet at the same time. Those two are opposites. We can oscillate and dance between them, but we really can't be in both states of one at once most of the time. So we are learning to save and take care of our energy and take care of ourselves better, which will provide us with, as we go into this reading, I'll unpack it more, but the card that came out under Raven's head was strength. And then the card that came out underneath Chiron was the Queen of Pentacles. So here, just when we just take these cards here, it's like learning how to nurture ourselves better and create better boundaries, and learning not to over deplete ourselves and over nurture, and becoming more balanced in our emotions, where we can learn and discern from our emotions, but not let them, completely take us out or completely let them influence our day or our decision making, right? We can have a balance of taking our feelings into account, but then also using discernment and wisdom and good judgment. And so in this self-mastery of our feelings, we have become stronger because of it. And learning to take care of ourselves and nurture ourselves better and set stronger boundaries is going to not only give us more strength and more endurance, right? Because when we get worn thin, we're not strong. We become like victim mode, and we're like, oh, we're being put upon and everything's happening to us, right? So the more strength we can show in setting our boundaries, the more strength we can literally be able to rebuild and draw from within, right? We can, fill our tanks rather than deplete our tanks. We can maintain and sustain. And so this strength is like the gentle strength that's not forceful, right? But it is kind. And it's like taming that inner beast within, right? It's taming that inner reactive nature. The transcendence of our soul helps us overcome the ego body consciousness that wants to receive instant gratification instead of practicing the self-restriction that leads to long-term fulfillment. It is overcoming the desire to receive for the self alone and learning how to receive in a way that is receiving for the sake of sharing, that actually overflows in the benefit of others. Right? So we become more of a vessel of the light rather than of our flesh. We take on our divine nature rather than our animalistic nature. But in doing that, we have to be able to master that beast, that animal nature within, that lower consciousness, that ego consciousness, for the sake of the higher consciousness. And so in doing this, we become the Queen of Pentacles, right? This secure, stable, earthy individual who is grounded, who is strong, who's abundant, who has set the structure and foundation and boundaries in her life that have allowed her to become this nurturing, abundant character who's got the shit together and who can take care of herself as well as others, right? And so she's really seen in this like aspect of this like mothering energy, but also really practical and really good at like achieving things and getting things done and keeping things rolling and keeping things well balanced and well oiled and maintained. So we go on to, so we're doing the work that is shedding and dissolving what is not us, revealing more of who we truly are, right? We're letting that work on our soul and our ego. Now, at the same time, we are looking at the parts of ourselves that the ego tricks and controls that make us that martyr, right? That, oh, I have to do for everyone and not for myself, or I can't set a boundary, or, you know, even just empathically not being able to distinguish your feelings from someone else's, or being able to transcend the trappings of enmeshment, which we all struggle with, right? We all have to learn how to heal from codependent patterns. You know, any human being falls on the spectrum of being, you know, vulnerable to falling into patterns of codependency. And so the more self-aware we are, then the more that we can, you know, see these patterns or tendencies for what they are. So overcoming enmeshment is not feeling like you are responsible for keeping everyone emotionally at ease, right? You're not responsible for every single person's well-being or emotional fulfillment. That's up to them, and that's between them and the Creator. You can't be the Savior for everyone. You're not the Messiah. We're not the Christ, but we try to adopt the yoke of Christ consciousness, but we can't have a Savior complex, because then we are falling into the trappings of trying to control others, trying to project on others, and interrupting their own flow and process. You know, we can be there for people, we can be a beacon of light, but we're doing that in a way that is inspiring rather than pushy, right? It's not forceful. It's like being influential rather than manipulative. You know, inspiring someone into change rather than like scolding them into change. Leading someone from honey rather than force. So we have Raven's Head here, which the Raven's Head is like a symbol of a portal of initiation, right? And so this portal of initiation is serving to dissolve these ego layers, right? This is the experience of what we're feeling and what we're traversing as we go through this initiation process, and it's already begun. But this initiation is serving to, you know, give us more strength and more character and more insight and more grace and influence and gentle strength, right? Through the mastery of self. And then when we master our own self, when we, you know, start tapping into that authentic self, we have a more stable and eternal vibration. It doesn't fluctuate. We're in our authentic, natural resting zone, you know, as far as like what we're emanating. And so because of that, we share more affinity with the light of the Creator. The light of the Creator isn't like all over the place, right? The light of the Creator doesn't wax and wane. The light of the Creator is consistent. It's eternal. And so the more consistent and eternal that we can become, the more influence and power we will have in any given situation, because of that vibrational frequency being stronger and more magnetic, right? So it's like it's like being able to control the vibrational thermostat in any given environment. So you master the self first before you can, it's like the difference between demanding respect from others and commanding it through the merit of the exchange that you have with others. It's like when you vibrate with a thing, it's in the coming and going. It's in the giving and receiving. You're either vibrating with something or you aren't. You're either blocked and in dissonance with something or you aren't. So when you're vibrating with respect, for instance, like we were just talking about, you show respect to others, you give respect to others, and they show respect to you. It's like it's like they have more respect from you, right? Maybe even if they don't show it. It's like it inspires that respect because you are both you're in the resonance of respect, vibrationally speaking. I hope that makes sense. So this initiation portal is offering us this opportunity to start embodying the wisdom and discernment that we've been gaining through our life's experiences. See, this pearl of wisdom here is like the offering, the jewel that comes from the willingness to do the work, to answer the call of the invitation into initiation. And so what is happening here is we've got Chiron. Chiron is a paradox. It's not a comet and it's not quite a planet. And Chiron is also part human, part horse. It's like horse on the bottom, human on top. And Chiron, the legend of Chiron is that Chiron was the abandoned and rejected son of Saturn. And so it was Chiron's wound, the rejection and abandonment wound that Chiron found healing for, that allowed him to become a healer because of his wound. His wound actually it was fated that he was wounded because his destiny was to be a healer, and it was the wound that taught him the gifts and gave him the pearls that he was then allowed to share with others. Do you see how there's this key here? The key to this understanding, and the pearl has become gold at this point. So it's in the healing that we find appreciation for our experience, and we're grateful for it, and we wouldn't even take it back even though there was pain and suffering and sacrifice that came with it. But when we get to a point of healing, it's like, oh, I appreciate that experience and what I gained from it, even though maybe it's a difficult truth to accept. It's like it's like when Eckhart Tolle talks about the pain body and being in the now and not fighting reality. And it's like you can't avoid pain, but you can avoid suffering. And so pain is unavoidable, pain comes, but fighting what we have gone through creates suffering. And radical acceptance of what we've come through and embracing the transformation and change and healing that it offered us gives us that wisdom, and it elevates our soul, and it frees us from it gives us this power because it frees us from the idea that we were victimized by what had happened. And so it allows us to take our power back, and it allows the healing to happen where we can let go of the echoes and waves of pain that come after those major life events that are disappointing, and worse. So we've learned from what we've experienced, and now we've seen how this gives us a unique perspective and ability to help and share with others that are also facing those things. We're not all that different as human beings. We mostly all face the same archetypal challenges and hot peaks and valleys in life. And yes, we are grouped into our own nuanced, themes, but we're not all absolutely 100% unique. We share things in common. And so we can help one another and glean from what we've learned and then share that with others as well. And that's part of becoming a vessel of sharing, right? Receiving for the sake of sharing. We're receiving our healing not for the self alone, but also for the sake of sharing with others, right? So finding more affinity with the light. And then when we get to that place, it brings us that grounded, stable sense of security and that inner fulfillment that is unshakable, that is based on a spiritual nature and an eternal nature, right? Rather than a fleeting material result that, we wish we could have had it this way. but that doesn't ultimately lead to some eternal change within you, right? Whereas the experience that was offered gave us something that is eternal, something that has forever changed us and forever has given us a truth that we couldn't have gleaned otherwise. All right, y'all, we're getting done under a cool 20 instead of like the 30, 40-minute episodes we've had this week. So we'll just quickly review. We've got dissolution with the Queen of Cups. We had Raven's Head with strength. And we had Chiron here with Queen of Pentacles. Y'all, thank you. Comment, let me know what you think, what you took away, what's going on with you right now. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you'll know when my videos hit. Sometimes my uploads can take a really long time, and sometimes they go up really fast. And depending on my schedule and what happens with me in my day, sometimes I post early, sometimes I post later. So if you turn on notifications, you'll just get a notification whenever the video is uploaded. All right, you guys, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening or day, and I will see y'all tomorrow for our weekly romance oracle reading. Ooh la la, ciao.